It was late evening and the streets were quiet as Wale stepped into Funke's shop. Funke was standing by the counter, pretending to arrange items, but her mind was far away. She looked up when she saw him and felt her chest tighten. It was time to confront him. "Wale," she called softly. "Yes, Funke," he answered, walking closer with a small smile. She took a deep breath and faced him directly. "Why didn't you tell me? Why hide the truth about who you are?" Wale's smile faded. He paused for a moment, then said, "Funke, I didn't want my money to come between us. But Wale, I had the right to know. You've been paying for my shop rent, my dad's surgery, everything. You've been carrying my problems without telling me," she said, her voice trembling. "Because I care, Funke," Wale replied, his tone soft but firm. "You've been through so much on your own. I've seen how hard you work, how determined you are. I just wanted to help quietly, without making you feel uncomfortable." Funke blinked back tears, her emotions swelling inside her. "But why didn't you trust me enough to tell me? You made me feel like I was in this alone, while you were secretly helping me." Wale sighed deeply. "Funke, I didn't want to look like I was trying to buy your trust or make you feel like you owed me something. I wanted us to be real friends. You don't know how much I admire your strength." Funke's anger began to melt away, replaced by something she couldn't explain. Gratitude, maybe, or relief. For the first time, she saw Wale not as someone who lied, but as someone who cared deeply. "I don't know what to say, Wale," she whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Wale said, his voice steady. "I just want you to know that I will always be here if you need me." Funke nodded slowly, wiping her face. She felt lighter somehow, even though she still had so many questions. The next morning, Funke sat in her shop, staring at the empty shelves. She couldn't stop thinking about her conversation with Wale. She realized one thing: she couldn't let him keep fixing her problems. She had to rebuild her business on her own. When Wale stopped by that afternoon, Funke shared her thoughts. "Wale, I appreciate everything you've done for me and my family, but I can't keep depending on anyone," she said, looking him in the eye. Wale tilted his head, curious. "What do you mean, Funke?" "I want to restock my shop and grow it myself. I'll work harder, find new customers, and make it better than before," she said firmly. Wale smiled, a look of admiration in his eyes. "That's why I admire you, Funke. You never stop trying, no matter how hard things get." She smiled back, a little shyly. "I have to. My family depends on me. My dad's health, my younger sister's school fees. It's all on me. I can't afford to give up." Wale nodded. "I know you can do it, but promise me one thing. If you ever need help, you'll tell me. Don't keep it all to yourself." Funke hesitated, then agreed. "I promise, but only if I really need it." Unknown to her, Wale had already started making plans. He was determined to support Funke in a way that wouldn't hurt her pride, but would still make her dreams easier to achieve. As Funke watched him leave the shop, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. For the first time in weeks, she felt hope. Little did she know, This was just the beginning of something much bigger. It was late in the evening, and the air was cool as Funke locked up her shop for the day. She was tired, but felt proud that business had picked up slightly. As she bent down to pick her bag, she heard two women chatting nearby. Their voices were loud enough to reach her ears, and something they said caught her attention. "Do you know Wale, that big man who manages the tech company?" one woman asked. Funke's heart skipped a beat. She leaned against the shop door, pretending to adjust the lock, but her ears were fully tuned in. "Ah, yes, everyone knows him," the second woman replied. "But it's his siblings, that are the problem. They are just eating his money anyhow." Funke's hands froze on the lock. "Wale's siblings?" She frowned. "Didn't you hear?" the first woman added, her tone dropping as if sharing a secret. "They don't even work. They just sit at home spending his money and stressing his life." The second woman said, shaking her head. "Poor Wale. He's too kind, and they are taking advantage of him." Funke finally turned her key and walked away slowly, her mind spinning with questions. Was this why Wale always looked so distracted? Why didn't he ever mention his siblings? She decided she had to ask him about it. The next afternoon, Wale stopped by Funke's shop, as he often did. She offered him a seat, but instead of her usual cheerful greeting, her face was serious. "Wale," she began carefully, "can I ask you something?" He looked at her, slightly surprised. "Of course, Funke, what's on your mind?" Funke hesitated, then spoke. "Yesterday, I heard something about you. Is it true that your siblings are giving you a hard time?" Wale's smile faded, and he looked away. For a moment, he was silent, but then he nodded. "It's true." Funke leaned forward. "What's going on? Tell me." Wale sighed heavily, his shoulders slumping. "My siblings, Morayo and Funsho, live with me. They don't want to work. They refuse to leave the house. All they do is spend the money I earn." Funke frowned, her heart sinking at his words. "Wale, that's not fair. You've worked so hard to get to where you are. They can't keep pulling you down like this." He nodded, but his expression was full of guilt. "I've tried to talk to them, Funke, but they always remind me of how they sold some of our family property to put me through school. It's hard to push back when they keep bringing that up. I feel like I owe them." Funke reached out and touched his shoulder gently. "Wale, you've already paid them back 100 times over. You've done more than enough for them. They need to understand that it's time to stand on their own feet." Wale looked at her, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "I don't know how to make them see that. Every time I try, it turns into a fight." Funke sat back, thinking for a moment, then said, "You can't keep doing this forever. Let's find a way to handle this together. They need to learn that independence is important." Wale stared at her, gratitude flashing across his face. "Thank you, Funke. I don't know what I'll do without you." Funke smiled softly. "You've been there for me when I needed help. Now, it's my turn to help you." But deep inside, Funke knew this wasn't going to be easy. She was determined to stand by Wale, but she also realized that Morayo and Funsho might not give in without a fight. Funke sat across from Wale in her small shop, her mind racing. She had been thinking about his siblings and their attitude all night. And now she had an idea. Wale, she said firmly, breaking the silence. He looked up from his phone. Yes, Funke, what if we pretend to be in a relationship? Wale's eyes widened. A relationship? Fake? Funke, how is that supposed to help? Funke leaned forward, her tone serious. Think about it. If they see that you are ready to start your own life, to build your own family, maybe it will force them to wake up. Right now, they think you will always be there for them. Wale frowned, considering her words. And you think pretending to date you will change their minds? It's worth a try. Funke replied. Wale, you've been carrying them for too long. Something drastic needs to happen for them to realize they can't depend on you forever. Wale hesitated, rubbing the back of his neck. I don't know, Funke. This could backfire. Or it could work, Funke said with a small smile. Besides, I'm not scared of your siblings. If anyone can handle them, it's me. Wale let out a short laugh. That's true. You are tougher than you look. So, are we doing this or not? Funke asked, crossing her arms. After a long pause, Wale sighed and nodded. All right, Funke, let's do it. But we have to be convincing. Funke grinned. Don't worry, I will make sure they believe it. It didn't take long for Wale and Funke's relationship to stir up trouble. Funke visited Wale's house more often, acting like a supportive partner. They spent time talking and laughing, making sure his siblings noticed. Then one day, Funke dropped the bomb. Mariah was in the living room scrolling through her phone when Funke walked in. She placed her hand on her stomach dramatically and smiled. Mariah, I thought you should know I'm pregnant. The phone slipped from Mariah's hand. Her eyes widened and she shot up from the couch. Pregnant? You? For my brother? Funke nodded calmly. Yes, Wale and I are starting a family. Mariah's face twisted with anger. Wale, come here, she shouted, storming toward his room. Wale stepped out, pretending to look confused. What's going on? What's going on? Mariah yelled, pointing at Funke. This girl is saying she's pregnant. Is it true? Wale glanced at Funke, then back at Mariah. Yes, it's true. Funke is going to have my child. Mariah exploded. Over my dead body, will you marry this shop girl? Have you lost your mind, Wale? She's going to ruin you. Funke didn't flinch. She crossed her arms and said, Mariah, you've been living off Wale's hard work for years. It's time for him to focus on his life. You don't get to control him anymore. Mariah glared at her, trembling with anger. This isn't over, she hissed, storming out of the room. Meanwhile, Funsho, who had been listening quietly from the corner, finally spoke. Do whatever you want, Wale. Just don't forget about our allowance. Wale's heart sank at his words. He looked at Funsho and said, Is that all you care about? Money? Funsho shrugged, not meeting his eyes. As the tension in the house grew, Wale and Funke knew they had a long battle ahead. But Funke was determined to see the plan through, no matter what challenges came their way. It was a quiet evening in Wale's house. Funke sat beside Wale, her presence calm but steady. Wale called Morayo and Funsho into the living room. His voice was firm. "We need to talk." Morayo walked in with her arms crossed, her face already sore. Funsho dragged himself lazily into the room, slumping onto a chair. "What is it this time, Wale?" Morayo asked, rolling her eyes. Wale took a deep breath. "I've made a decision." "Morayo, Funsho, this has to stop. I've rented an apartment for both of you. It's time you moved out and start living your own lives." The room went silent. For a moment, it felt like time had frozen. Morayo suddenly stood up, her voice rising. "So, this is her doing, right? Funke put this crazy idea in your head? She's the one tearing this family apart." Funke stayed quiet, but her eyes locked with Morayo's calm and unshaken. "No, Morayo," Wale replied, his tone steady. "This is my decision. I love you both, but I can't keep carrying you forever. You are adults. You need to stand on your feet." Morayo's voice cracked. "After everything we did for you, Wale, we sold our family land so you could go to school. And this is how you repay us, by throwing us out?" Wale's face softened, but his resolve didn't waver. "I know what you did for me, and I'll always be grateful. That's why I've done everything I can to support you. But I've realized something. By letting you depend on me, I've been holding you back. It's time to change that." Funsho, who had been quiet all along, finally spoke. His voice was low but serious. "Maybe Wale is right, Morayo. We can't keep living like this. It's embarrassing." Morayo turned to him, shocked. "Embarrassing? Funsho, are you serious? How are we going to survive out there?" Funsho shrugged. "We'll figure it out. I'm tired of being treated like a child." Morayo sat down, her face tight with frustration. She didn't say another word, but Wale could see her mind racing. "I've already paid the first year's rent," Wale said, his voice gentler now, "and I'll help you settle in. But after that, you are on your own. You need to start thinking about your future." Morayo didn't look at him. She nodded stiffly. The next morning, Wale and Funke helped Morayo and Funsho pack their belongings. Funke took the lead, organizing and folding clothes while cracking jokes to lighten the mood. "Morayo," Funke said with a smile, "you will love the new place. It's close to a market and the rooms are big." Morayo rolled her eyes but said nothing. Funsho, on the other hand, seemed more cheerful. "At least, we won't have to share a room anymore," he joked. When they arrived at the apartment, Wale handed them the keys. "This is it. I hope you make it a home." Morayo looked around, her face still cold, but Funsho smiled. "It's nice, Wale. Thank you." Later that evening, as Wale and Funke walked back to the car, Wale let out a deep sigh. "I hope they'll be okay." "They will be," Funke said confidently. "Sometimes people just need a little push." A few days later, Funke was at her shop when Wale walked in carrying a large envelope. "What's that?" she asked, curious. Wale smiled and handed it to her. "Open it." Inside, Funke found documents showing that her shop had been restocked with everything she needed. Food items, toiletries, drinks, and more. Funke stared at him, speechless. "Wale, you did this?" "It's my way of saying thank you," Wale said, "for standing by me, for believing in me." Tears filled Funke's eyes, but she quickly wiped them away and smiled. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't have to," Wale replied. "You've already done more for me than you know." As Funke looked around her shop, she felt a new sense of hope. It wasn't just about the restocked items. It was about the bond she and Wale had built, the lessons they had learned, and the new beginnings they had created. As weeks passed, the fake relationship Wale and Funke started pretending became harder to tell apart from reality. They had spent so much time together, helping each other and growing closer with every passing day. Funke saw a side of Wale she had never seen before. His care, his kindness, and his strength. He wasn't just a man with money. He was a man with a heart. One evening, after a long day at the shop, Funke was exhausted but smiled as she saw Wale walking toward her. He had become a regular part of her life. She couldn't imagine her world without him. "Funke, I need to ask you something," Wale said, his voice soft, yet serious. She looked up at him, her heart racing. "What's wrong?" He smiled, taking a deep breath. Then, before Funke could understand what was happening, he knelt down on one knee. "Funke," Wale said, his voice full of emotion, "you brought so much light into my life. You've taught me to be patient, to believe in myself, and to never give up. Will you marry me?" Funke stood, frozen, her eyes wide. Her heart pounded in her chest as tears started to fill her eyes. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Yes, Wale. Yes, I'll marry you." Wale stood up and wrapped her in his arms, his smile beaming. The fake relationship they had started for a purpose had now become something real, something beautiful. Months later, Wale and Funke stood hand in hand, looking out at the sea of friends and family gathered for their wedding. The day was perfect, with smiles, laughter, and love filling the air. Morayo and Funsho had come a long way from their old selves. They had found jobs, rented their own places, and started living more independently. During the reception, Wale stood up to make a speech. The crowd grew quiet, and all eyes were on him. Patience, determination, and the right people can turn any struggle into success, he began, his eyes moving over to Funke. "Funke taught me that. She showed me how to keep going, even when things were hard. We both went through challenges, but we never gave up. And now, look at us. We are here, stronger than ever." The crowd cheered, and Funke blushed, her heart swelling with pride. She had come so far, from a small shop owner to a woman with a strong, loving family. She had never imagined her life could be so full of happiness. As the night went on, Wale and Funke danced together, their laughter echoing through the hall. They knew there would still be challenges ahead, but they also knew that together they could face anything life threw at them. The love between them was built on trust, patience, and hard work. And that was a love that would last forever. In the end, Funke realized that the strength she had shown all her life, her determination and willingness to never give up, had paid off. It had brought her not only success, but love, family, and happiness. Together, Wale and Funke built a life filled with love, support, and joy, proving to everyone that no challenge was too big to overcome and no dream was too far to reach.